Hare Krishna. So we are in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and we are in the last section of the second chapter. So what are we talking about? The last section is talking about
The summary of Gita.
absorption, right? It is talking
Absorption, yeah.
about G. G stands for Guru, I
Correct.
stands for identity, and T stands for true Dharma. A
Dharmas.
stands for Atma Rama, or a person who is absorbed in Krishna
Self, yeah.
consciousness. Yeah. How does he behave? How does he walk? How does he speak? How does he utilize his senses? So all these things are very beautifully described in this last section of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So we saw previously that both Pandavas and Kauravas are assembled in the Kurukshetra, and it was a war of dharma, but Arjuna was reluctant to fight because he thought that how can I fight against my own relatives and my own teachers? So Arjuna was thinking about satisfying his own senses. He thought, what enjoyment I will get. But at the end of Bhagavad Gita, we see that what did Arjuna said? Arjuna says, whatever you say, yet I will do whatever you say. So that is what we could see. So here, through Bhagavad Gita, we understand that we should act according to the desires of the Lord,
Yes.
not according to our own desires. So
Senses.
Arjuna is a devotee as well as a friend of Krishna. He is not bewildered, but just for him, for us to show, if Krishna wants to talk to someone, whom will he choose? He will choose his own relative or his own friend or his own devotee. He cannot just take a common person and talk.
So,
So, therefore, he has chosen Arjuna to speak Gita through Arjuna to us. And towards the end of the Buddhi Yoga section, we saw that there are benefits of Buddhi Yoga or being in Krishna consciousness. What are the 4 benefits of Buddhi Yoga? Freedom from birth and death, freedom from good and bad reactions.
bad
We discussed
reactions.
about it, both are not good.
Yeah.
And we become indifferent to Vedic rituals, because Vedic rituals, the Karma Kanda rituals, makes us more and more entangled in the material world because of the fruitive activities, whereas a devotee of the Lord is absorbed himself in serving the desires of the Lord,
Lord.
and he is not very ritualistic to do. And then the another benefit is he knows who am I, who is God, what relationship I have with the Lord. That sambandha jnana, that is very important. We
Important.
serve our own children because we know that there is a connection. We do not go to neighbors' children and we get them ready. We pay their school fees, we pay their college fees, and we take care. No, why do we do to our own children? Because there is a sambandha. So when we know that
Relationship.
we have an eternal relation with the Lord, then what do? We serve the Lord. Unless otherwise, we know that sambandha dhyan. How will we serve? God is there. We are here. How the connection will happen? Just by going to temple and offering coconut or flowers, we cannot develop the relation with the Lord, because as soon as chadava ho gaya, then you just come and you have given some kind of petition to the Lord, and we are just waiting when our petition is being heard and when it gets fructified, right? Most of us think, approaching God is to give some petition to the Lord. We have so many desires, telling Lord, please ensure that I get such and such and such things, because as an offering, I'm giving you this, so you do this. But in when a devotee, what does he understand? He knows that we have a permanent relation with the Lord. He is our eternal Father. Somehow or the other, we have forgotten our relationships and we are suffering in this material world. This is a place of Dukh Alaya. So in Kashi, we could see that within that Kashi Gali, within 10 minutes, more than 10 dead bodies were going. Ram Ram. They are going because people die and they feel, doing cremation in Kashi, they have a belief that, the Atma will get Mukti. And while the person dies, they are chanting the name. But we should actually do when we are alive.
Alive.
Then only your ears can hear, right? So
Mm.
we could see that we are doing everything only till the last moment of our life. We are trying to enjoy our senses. We are trying to do in the last moment after everything is over. We are calling out the name of the Lord. But while
Lord.
we are there in this body, this is a body which we have rented. We are staying here. And this body, through the help of this is an instrument, we can utilize our ears in hearing about Krishna, utilize your eyes by seeing Krishna's deity, and utilize your tongue by taking Krishna Prasadam, utilize your hand by cleaning the Krishna's temple, utilize your leg to go to the pilgrimage. So, therefore, we can involve all our senses. We are involving our senses in Krishna because we know that by satisfying Krishna's senses, our senses gets automatically satisfied. But
Satisfied.
when we are trying to satisfy our own senses, then there is so many problems that would arise. And we saw that it is not very easy to give up sense gratification because sometimes we may just give up externally, but we may still in our mind we may think, I have to eat that. Like for a diabetic patient, the doctor strictly prohibits taking sweets. But if somebody is so much habituated in taking sweets every day and they love sweets, they may not eat because it may not be good for their health. But that desire to eat will remain whenever they see the sweet. They get attached to it and the desire will remain. Maybe externally you may do. But when you are developing the higher taste, what happens then? The lower taste will automatically go away.
Yeah.
Automatically go away. We cannot control our senses, but we can do it by developing a higher taste. So when you're having Krishna Prasadam, the tongue gets, we are getting purified. So the more we are getting purified and we are seeing that purifying effect on us, where we are able to render more devotional service, then automatically we will not eat the food that is prepared by the materialist, because by eating the food prepared by materialist, what happened is the consciousness is transferred through the food. Then your mind is also becoming very, very materialistic. And in that kind of a mind frame, we will not be able to chant. We may not be able to do the devotional service properly. We may think, I'm doing everything. My mind is not happening. I could not just do because we have eaten by the food that is cooked by a materialistic person, Vishaya person. Then automatically that thought can come to us also, right? And then we saw that how the senses are very strong. Even a person of discrimination may find it very difficult to control their senses. And who are the examples Prabhupada stated in the purport? Vishwamitra Muni.
Vishnu.
He was doing a meditation for very, very long time. He was a Kshatriya, but he wanted to become a Brahmana because a Brahmana is even greater than a Kshatriya.
Priya.
And Indra did not want him to become because he didn't want anybody to become stronger than him or greater than him. So he sent, whom did he send? Menaka to
Mm.
disturb his tapasya.
Distract.
And what did he? Just by hearing her anklet bell, Vishwamitra Muni fell down from his position and he united with her and he had a daughter with her. And later on, he understood and he went. But there was a fall down. Shaubari Muni, he was thinking that, if he is outside in this material world, he will get distracted. So what did he do? He went inside the water. He went into the deep water. He thought, if I'm in the deep water, there won't be any disturbance. I won't be distracted. But in spite of being in the deep water, what did he saw? He saw two fish
Mm.
uniting. I
Waiting.
mean, what do you even understand by seeing the fish? And by seeing that, his mind got disturbed. He came
Distracted.
out
Yeah.
and he married 50 daughters of the king. And later on, he realized that, what he has done, what was the purpose of the life, and he went back. But we could see that there was falling down of the Vishaya, whenever you do. But a very great devotee of Lord Sri Krishna, Haridas Thakura, who was chanting 192 rounds every day, literally 20 to 22 hours of chanting he had. And even he was tested by Maya Devi herself. Twice he was tested. And by a prostitute, a very beautiful prostitute was sent by the king. But what did he do? He did not get angry or send her. He said, just wait, I will satisfy you. But let me finish my sadhana. After that, I'll be with her. But being with Haridas Thakur for 3 days, what happened to the prostitute? She
She
also
changed.
became a
Yeah.
devotee. And
Devotee.
she took Diksha from him, and she also started chanting 192
Rounds
rounds.
of.
So we can see that with whom we associate, we become like them. Even somebody might be, we may be very contaminated in our heart, we may be very contaminated in our mind. But if you are taking association of the pure devotees of the Lord, then what happens? Our contamination goes away and we get purified. Right? When we have infection, what happens? The doctor gives medicine and the diet. And slowly, slowly, what happens? By taking the medicine and the diet, the infection
Goes
subsides
away.
and we come back to the normal state. So here we are all in the material infection. The reason we are taking repeated birth is because of our infection with materialistic things. Right? We are actually spiritual, but we are identifying ourselves with our body. And because we are identifying ourselves with the body, we are trying to meet up the demands of the body. The body is always demanding, I want this, I want such and such comforts. The tongue is demanding something very nice to eat. The eyes is demanding something very nice to see. The ears is demanding something to hear. We are just basically trying to purify the demands of our body. So, but by rendering devotional service to Krishna, this a there will be a transformation in our heart. Instead of trying to satisfy our own senses, then we will satisfy Krishna's senses. And the most easiest way for us to remain in the association of pure devotees, you have Bhagavad Gita, you have Srimad Bhagavatam at home. Whenever possible, please read as much as possible because you are directly associating with the devotees of the Lord. Because some of us are in such a place where it is not easy for us to come to temple and have the association or come to the physical satsanga. But by reading, coming in touch with the Lord and his devotee, we are getting associated with the pure devotees of the Lord. Okay? So we'll do today's sloka, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 62. Please repeat after me. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः
Sangasdeshu Pajayate
सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते
Sangat Sanjayate Kama
सङ्गात् सञ्जायते चेतकमा
Kamat Krodho Bijayate
कामात् क्रोधो विजायते
Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः
Sangasdeshu Pajayate
सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते
Sangat Sanjayate Kama
सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामा
Kamat Krodho Bijayate
कामात् क्रोधो विजायते
Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः
Sangasdeshu Pajayate
सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते
Sangat Sanjayate Kama
सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कंसा
Kamat Krodho Bijayate.
कामात् क्रोधो विजायते
Would like to do this sloka?
I'll do Mataji.
Please.
ध्यायतो विषया पुंसः
Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa
सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते
Sangasdeshu
सङ्गस्तेजुपजायते
Pajayate
संगत संजायते कामः
Sangat
Sangat
sanjayate
sanjayate
kama.
kama.
कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते
Kama
Kamat
krodho
krodho
vijayate.
vijayate.
ध्यायतः while contemplating विषयान् sense objects पुंसः of a person संगः attachment तेषु in the sense objects upajayate develops sangat from attachment sang sanjayate develops kamah desire kamat from desire krodha anger abhijayate becomes manifest. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises.
So beautifully here, Krishna has given the anatomy of how a person gets anger, where it all starts and how it ends. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति विकास स्वामी नामिनी नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिनी नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचायते निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So dhyayata vishayan pumsa. So whenever we get in touch with the sense objects, what happens? Then the attachment towards that object arises.
Yes,
Suppose
Mataji.
you're going to a place and you're seeing a very nice delicacy over there, maybe something that you really like. There is a rasmalai over there. So the moment you see that rasmalai, then immediately what happens? You develop attached to that and you feel like
Yes.
you should
Eating it.
eat it.
Have it.
Then imagine you're seeing a rasmalai and you saw that and you thought you are going to eat and you're in a meeting or something and you come back and you see that rasmalai is not there anymore. And what will happen to us?
Disappointed.
We
We'll
get
get disappointed.
disappointed. Sangat sanjayate because of the attachment to that vishaya, to the materialistic thing, because it could not get fulfilled. Then what happened? Because we have already developed an attachment. Karma is also less, but karma is also developing attachment to any for sense desire, sense gratification. It can be lust or it can be any other thing. And when that doesn't get fulfilled, when our senses, when our desires of sense of this, then what happens? We get
We
krodha.
get angry.
We get
Yeah.
very angry. So we can see that there's living entity. So the living entity who is engaged in sense gratification, generally what the living entity engaged in, they worship the demigods because the demigods, they quickly give the results for sense gratification. Shipram, they give very quickly. When you're approaching a demigod for some kind of, monk, like we know people do a lot of pujas, right? They do like Santoshi Mata puja, they do Vaibhav Lakshmi puja and all those things. So when they do that puja at the end of Samvrata day, their desires get fulfilled, right? So they approach the demigods because the demigods, they quickly achieve the sense gratification. So when the senses are engaged in sense gratification, then the contemplation on the object of the senses. So we contemplate, we think, how do I enjoy the senses? When we are seeing an object physically over there, then we think of enjoying the senses. So one day it so happened that, there was paneer in our home and I kept it for my daughter. But when I was outside in a walk, and my parents came and they asked my daughter, have you taken your dinner? I think she did not reply properly. Maybe they assumed that she said yes. So whatever paneer was there, my mother served my father and it was over. And then we realized that she did not have her dinner. Then when I say paneer was over, she got so angry. She got so upset, so angry that she said, I am not going to eat anything because I wanted to eat the paneer and the paneer is over. Now I cannot eat anything. So what happened? That paneer, that object of the sense object remained. And when it came, she could not eat that. And immediately what it became? It turned into a anger, right? We could see that this particular sloka I see every day in my life. How people get angry, how they are into the Vishaya, and that Vishaya gets unfulfilled, and immediately it becomes a anger. Because when we saw, you develop the attachment towards it. Yes, I saw there is paneer. When I come back from play, I am going to eat it, right? That attachment was there. And from that attachment, because you are thinking, okay, I will enjoy the paneer. And then from the lust, what happens? Anger
Anger
develops. And because of the unsatisfied lust, whenever the lust is unsatisfied, it becomes an anger. And lust is something that is very, very difficult to get satisfied. For example, if you keep on putting oil in the fire, the fire will keep on increasing. Will it become, if you want to turn off the fire and if you're putting the oil, just by putting the oil, will the fire subside? Lust is like that. Desires are like that. You try to fulfill one desire, then two desires comes. And you fulfill those two desires, then four desires will come. And you fulfill that and then eight desires. It just keeps on getting doubled.
multiplying.
Right? So sometimes a person who just started with a very small car, let's say like a Maruti Alto, like that, he will have a desire, to go with some mid-sized car.
Upgrade
right?
the car.
After some time, you get upgraded to some mid-sized car. You're happy for some time, but do you think you will be happy only with that mid-sized car forever? No. After few years or few months, we think, okay, I have to go for a sedan, a bigger car. And once we are getting that car, again, are we satisfied? No. We still think now I have to go to XUV. And then you go to that car. Are you satisfied with that? No. Now I have like, an Indian brand car. I have to go to some Mercedes Benz or something like that. And after going there, will you satisfied? No. There are even better cars. There are Porsche, there are Ferrari, there are so many cars. So we see that the more and more we are trying to satisfy our desires, it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
Right? Like typically people who doesn't even have a home, they think at least let me buy a single bedroom home.
1 BHK.
After being to 1 BHK, you think of two. Then when you get to two, you think of three. And after getting three also, you're not satisfied. Then you go for four. And after getting four also, you won't be satisfied. You think maybe I need to buy a mansion. Because you keep on working because our desires becomes unfulfilled. And from that unfulfilled desire, what happens? The anger develops. We become very, very angry. And in the following sloka, we will see that what happens when the anger comes. That's what Krishna will be saying to us. So now we can understand the anatomy of the anger. How does the anger comes? Anger
By
comes
lust.
because of the lust. And the lust comes because of when we are contemplating on the sense object, we develop a attachment towards it. From that attachment, the lust arises. And when the unfulfilled lust immediately becomes an anger.
Anger.
So it is all starting with what? With Vishaya. With the materialistic, with the objects, with the sense object, it all starts. For example, when you're in a cliff and if you fall down, and if you want to protect the person from falling down, where do you protect that person? In the starting point or somewhere when he's in the cliff falling down?
When it's
The
the
only
starting
way to
point.
protect him is from the starting point, ensuring that he doesn't fall down. Because
Correct.
once he falls, then the falling down is going to be for sure. Nowhere you can protect that person. So it all starts with the sense objects. So once we are attached to the sense objects, then immediately the process has started and it will develop into the anger. So what does a devotee of the Lord does? A devotee of the Lord is utilizing his senses, not in satisfying the senses of Krishna, not to satisfy his own senses. So he's purifying the senses by attaching towards Krishna. Otherwise, the senses are demanding. We cannot just be without doing anything, right? We need to eat something. We need to hear something. We need to see something. Can we just remain blind? Can we just close our ears? No. But we can engage our senses in Krishna's service. As long as we are trying to engage the senses in our own service, then there will be always a disappointment. And from the disappointment, the anger comes. We saw, I don't know, previous year, some famous pop singers, I don't know, they were here in Mumbai. And what I heard in the news was each and every ticket was sold for 1 lakh in the black market.
Sun festival, something like that.
Some festival, imagine just for some 3 hours of their enjoyment, they are ready to spend 1 lakh. You can do so many things with that, but how you will develop, and that also after going there, if you did not have a proper view, if you were stampede or if you had something happen, then what happens? You get even more angry. I spent 1 lakh, but in spite of me spending there, I did not have a proper view, proper
View.
this thing and proper enjoyment, right? So let us go through the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Shweta Mataji, you can read this.
Senses are engaged in sense gratification. One who is not Krishna conscious is subjected to material desires while contemplating the objects of the senses. The senses require real engagements, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in the service of materialism.
So either way, we need to serve. Either you serve Krishna or you serve Maya. We cannot be without serving, right? Because senses have to be engaged. It requires engagement. Without engagement, the senses cannot be there. So we need to decide, should I serve Krishna or should I serve Maya?
Example of great personalities falling prey to sense objects. In the material world, everyone, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to say nothing of other demigods in the heavenly planets, is subjected to the influence of sense objects. And the only method to get out of this puzzle of material existence is to become Krishna conscious. Lord Shiva was deep in meditation, but when Parvati agitated him for sense pleasure, he agreed to the proposal, and as a result, Kartikeya was born.
So we can see that even great gods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, he became attached to his own daughter, Saraswati. Saraswati is the embodiment of beauty, and looking at his daughter, the beautiful daughter, he forgot his position that he is the father, and he was trying to enjoy Saraswati. It is not that Brahma's position was like that, because they try to show us, even at such a great position, somebody can fall down.
Fall.
And Lord Shiva with Parvati, and he was also attached to the Mohini Murti form of Lord Krishna. That is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam. When Lord Shiva saw the Mohini Murti form of during the Samudra Manthan, Krishna turned himself to Mohini Murti to
Mohini.
allure the Asuras, so that she can give the Amrit only to the Devatas. At that time, when Shiva saw this Mohini avatar of Krishna, she was so beautiful that he went behind her and he also discharged semen. So we could see that such a great personalities also became a prey. Lord Indra, many times we know, with Ahalya, right? So many places we see how Indra was in this thing. So that could see everybody is falling. The only way to get out of this is by becoming Krishna conscious.
Conscious.
Senses engaged in Krishna service. Mataji, go ahead.
Senses engaged in Krishna's service. When Haridas Thakura was a young devotee of the Lord, he was similarly allured by the incarnation of Maya Devi, but Haridasa easily passed the test because of his unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. As illustrated in the above mentioned verse of Sri Yamunacharya, a sincere devotee of the Lord, shuns all material sense enjoyment due to his higher taste of spiritual enjoyment in the association of the Lord. That is the secret of success.
We saw in previous verses, Yamunacharya says, whenever the thought comes, I spit at it. So it's not that the thought doesn't come. The thought comes to everybody until Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the thought comes. But what does the devotee of Krishna also, they didn't say the thought doesn't come. But what Yamunacharya says, when the thought comes, he
I
spit at the
spit at
thought
it.
because he is getting a spiritual enjoyment. So senses will definitely seek for enjoyment. Either you do it spiritually. If you cannot spiritually do, then you have to do materially because it is demanding. If you're not doing a spiritual thing like chanting, hearing, that is also giving nourishment to our senses. Our ears are nourished by hearing Krishna's pastime. Srinvatahi Swata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. When you're hearing Krishna Katha, Hridayantasto Hriday Abhadrani. All the dirty things in our heart gets automatically cleansed. But that hearing is also the sense. Through hearing, we can purify. So, by developing spiritual senses, by engaging ourselves in satisfying Lord Sri Krishna, in hearing about Krishna, chanting his holy name, and accepting Krishna Prasadam, then our senses get automatically satisfied. Then a devotee of Krishna will not think. He may like a samosa so much, but when a devotee is seeing a samosa that is unoffered, he will not eat. Why? Because that is not being offered to Krishna. When you're
Krishna.
eating something but are not given to Krishna for yourself, that is for your own sense gratification.
Sense.
But when you're offering to Krishna and you're eating, that is the remnants of Krishna you're living because everything belongs to Krishna. Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam. So first you take it because things belong to you. And whatever you leave it, I will take that. So by purifying ourselves, especially with the tongue. The tongue is the most voracious thing. With the tongue, we have to chant, and with the tongue, we need to taste the Krishna Prasada. Imagine Haridas Thakura was tested by Maya Devi herself. The agents of Maya Devi, if Maya Devi is sending some beautiful women, beautiful thing itself, people fall. And imagine she coming herself. That means how beautiful she is, how alluring she can be. But even that test, Haridas Thakura easily passed. So twice he was tested, once by a prostitute sent by the one of the king, and another is by Maya Devi herself.
Herself.
Okay.
Artificial, sorry.
Mhm. Yes.
Artificial repression of senses. One who is not, therefore, in Krishna consciousness, however powerful he may be in controlling the senses by artificial repression, is surely ultimately to fail. For the slightest thought of sense pleasure will agitate him to gratify his desires.
So artificial repression is not possible because even a slight thought. And today, is there any shortage for sense pleasure? Imagine a slight thought. Now you just get out of the home. You see so many billboards. Everybody has mobile. Everybody has. In today's world, is there any shortage for sense pleasure?
No.
At least in previous days, like if you say previous, during our parents' time and that time, there was no TV. They at the most they can only have radio. They can hear some movie songs or something and watch a movie in the theaters, maybe one or two movies, right? So there were hardly few chances for them to get in in attachment to the senses or get in contact with the senses. First of all, we don't get in contact with the sense objects more previously, but today there are so many ways we are constantly getting contact with the sense objects. Correct? Just open your phone, something pops up. Go just out of the home, you see the billboard, something is happening, right? So especially you can see that, when children, when you take them out, which my experience I had with my daughter when I went to the trip. As soon as you go to the airport, no, she wants to see that. She saw Nika, I want to buy this. She saw this, I want to eat this. She saw that, I want to do that. Why it is all happening? Because when you come in contact with the sense objects, then automatically the attachment comes. And from the attachment, that enjoyment propensity comes. And when it is not fulfilled, then what happens? The anger comes. And after it is fulfilled also, one thing got fulfilled. Okay, but there are many other things. Okay, Mama gave what I like, she gave me to eat. Yes, finish. Next thing, what I want to do, I want to buy something else for myself. You know, as long as you're in the contact until you board the flight, you ensure that you will get whatever you want because you're seeing many things and you see that I wanted to get such things, right? I mean, with the children, it could be easily felt. I think Shweta Mataji also would agree with me, right?
Yeah.
When you're taking your daughter outside, how many things they will see and they will keep on asking us, get me this, get me that, right?
True. Yes.
And it happens even with adults also. Many times when we go to the shopping, do we go in the mind to shop whatever we wanted, or we usually end up buying what we really did not even think?
Yeah.
Yeah, happens many times.
We go with an intention of buying maybe like, let's say, one or two set of clothes. But do we come with one or two sets, or we come with some minimum 5 sets? Because when we
Yeah.
see those objects, then automatically we are developing the attachment, right? So we see that we should know to purify our senses. And how to purify the senses? By becoming Krishna consciousness, by
Krishna conscious.
developing a higher taste. Feed your sense with the higher things, not with the lower things. So if you are developing the attachment for hearing and reading and chanting of Lord Sri Krishna, then you will not develop attachment to the other things. But as long as you are not developing your attachment in Krishna conscious activity, then automatically your senses will demand and you will be attached to the material objects. And when you're attached to the material object, then the fall down happens. So there are 4 steps given and 4 more steps given for the fall down. Okay. What happens when anger arises, what happens? That is what Krishna will say in the next sloka. We'll do this sloka. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 63. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
सम्मोहा स्मृतिविभ्रमः
सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
सम्मोहा स्मृतिविभ्रमः
सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
सम्मोहा स्मृतिविभ्रमः
सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रशन्ति.
Would you like to do, Mamataji?
Yes, Mataji. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 63. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोधा
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
सम्मोहा स्मृति विभ्रमा
सम्मोहा स्मृतिविभ्रमः
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
क्रोधात् from anger bhavati takes place sammoha perfect illusion sammohat from illusion, smriti of memory, vibhramaha bewilderment, smriti bramshat after bewilderment of memory, buddhi nasha look loss of intelligence, buddhi nashat, and from loss of intelligence, pranashyati, one falls down. Translation: from anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
See, we know that when a person gets angered, we know to what extent a person can do. There are extents where the person gets angry, and out of anger, they do murder also.
Hmm.
But is it possible for you to? He may be a nice person throughout the life. He must have not done anything, but the anger can go in such a way that, it can also become a murder because you're completely lost. Your memory is bewildered, your intelligence is lost, and you just do something at that particular moment. And then your intelligence, and again, one falls down into the material pool. We have seen an incidences where, out of anger, where people have also murdered, right? It can happen in many places. Even in the newses, when you read husband and wife, you have seen that they murder the partner because of fight and quarrel, right? Out of anger, they get angry, and you see the husband stabbing the wife stabbing the husband. All those things happens out of the anger. He may be a very great person, he may be a CEO of the company or anything, but when the anger comes, his memory is lost, his intelligence is lost, and he just acts in such a way that it can be completely devastating, right? And fall down again in the material pool. So we can see that it all starts from where? Vishaya, because of contemplating on the sense objects. So when you're contemplating on the sense object, what happens? What is the end thing? We lose
Is
our intelligence and
intelligence.
we fall down back to the material
Material pool.
pool. So we as a devotee shouldn't be very careful
Yeah.
not to be allured by the sense objects.
Hmm.
If you're allured by some sense object, with us, what happens is we know that, okay, what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, but when we go to some places, we think, this is the delicacy of that place, I know it is not prashadam, it is not offered, but it's okay. Just one day, let me eat. Nothing happens. So we also get into the thing, we also become a prey to the sense objects, right? Like you are going to a dham. Your purpose of going to the dham is to get purified and to observe yourself in Krishna's consciousness. So how to do. But when you're going to the dham, you're seeing there are so many delicacies over there. But what is, because when you see those objects, then you get attached, you feel like
Attract.
eating. And then what happened? When you come, you become, your dham yatra, you went and you again, you behave like a materialistic person. We went with a good intention, we went with a thing, but we may not get the same benefit what you could have taken. Suppose there is an opportunity for us to take a Krishna Prasadam, which is probably little simple food, and there is lot of delicacies which you can eat only in such and such place. You may not get that in Mumbai. Let's keep that. At that time, what should we choose? Our purpose of coming to Yatra is what?
To actually sink in ourselves where we come for.
Where there is, to observe ourselves more and more
Yeah.
in Krishna consciousness.
Krishna
If you are
consciousness.
getting an opportunity in a place where you don't have any opportunity to get prasadam, you have to eat, that's a different story. But if you're having an opportunity to have prasadam, maybe it's a simple food, then what we should do?
Yeah.
Should we take prasadam or she will just eat because we do not get something?
Hmm.
And we go, we come, and again, we are not advancing. So I wouldn't say that, we fall back and from tomorrow you won't chant or anything, but by doing so, your mind will not be
Going
helping
forward.
you much to read or helping you. You may not develop so much desire in reading or hearing or in chanting because you have been already chanting 16 rounds. Sometimes, that 16 rounds can anyway happen like a parroting also because you have been doing something every day. Sometimes, we are just chanting. We are probably not even hearing, we are not even observing, but we are just chanting because that also becomes a habit like Nitya Karma. Every day we take bath,
Hmm.
that just become our karma.
Routine work.
Nobody has to say that, you need to take bath or anything. Every day we eat, somebody has to say like that. Sometimes, our chanting also becomes like that. The more you do, you just keep chanting. You may be chanting for 10 years, you may be chanting for 20 years, but you don't advance. You are not developing Krishna Prem. You are not thinking, how will I serve Krishna more and more? Then, without such advancement, will we be able to have Ante Narayana Smriti?
Hmm.
Antakale cha mameva smaraneva kalevaram. Will we be able to remember Krishna if we are in the midst of so much of Vishaya? Like in the last class, I gave an example, I don't know in this class. So Birbal was asked by Akbar, how long a lusty desire remain with the person? And Birbal said that it will be there till the last moment, even in his deathbed, till the time he leaves. And Akbar thought, how can it be? He's so weak, his senses are so weak. He cannot actually, enjoy or do anything. I don't agree with you. So Birbal said, okay, I will prove you. You bring your daughter to such and such place. So he asked Akbar and his daughter to come to a place where there was a man who was lying down in his deathbed, which he may leave his body anytime. So as soon as Akbar and his daughter entered, where did this man's eyes go?
Towards the daughter.
Daughter, not towards Akbar, not the
Hmm.
emperor. Then Akbar understood, you know, till the deathbed, till the last minute, what happens? That desire to enjoy the senses is not gone.
Going.
So this is not going to end at all. So if we are not purifying our senses, then there is no chance for us to get out of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead. I've seen, some one of the old couple. We have restrictions. When we take Diksha, we only take Krishna Prasadam. And when we are in living in a community where there are marriages, where there are many incidences, where you are supposed to eat whatever they offer. But once we are taken Diksha, we do not eat the unoffered food. That Mataji was telling, like, he is not there, that Prabhuji no more. That he said, just for food, why should I give Krishna Bhakti? Why should I leave up Krishna Bhakti? So many years we have eaten, eaten, eaten. So many lifetimes we have been eating, eating, eating. So just because of this one factor food, that, just because we cannot eat anything for, should we give up Krishna Bhakti? Is it
Hmm.
so difficult, Mataji, to just eat Krishna Prasadam and to chant? It's not at all difficult. See, now
Yeah.
when we went, Mataji, the 6 days trip, every single day prasadam was so easily available
Offered.
in all the places. There was not a single place where we found difficult to get prasadam. When we were in
Hmm.
Prayagraj in ISKCON, we informed them and said, and they, gave us such a nice lunch they gave. They arranged for us. They kept it ready for us. When we went, they were nicely serving us. Everywhere there was prasadam available. In Kashi, there is a temple, there is Govindas, and there are devotees who are giving you prasadam. So everywhere there was no dearth of getting the pressure because ISKCON is an international society. Wherever you
Yeah.
go, there are devotees. Just that we should have the thing, okay, when I just only have to eat Krishna Prasadam, then it will help. But if you're contemplating on the senses, on the sense objects, then, then the anger and we may fall down, the memory may get bewildered. So you can see contemplating on the object of senses develops attachment. So the 8-step process are there. And from attachment, what comes? The lust. develops. From some unsatisfied lust turns into anger.
Anger.
And from lust, what happens? Anger develops. And the anger develops, what happened? Complete delusion.
Memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything you lost. You lost. There is a saying in Tamil, na? Buddhi mattu. They say when you get
Hmm.
anger, your buddhi becomes totally, I mean,
Blank
begapoof.
actually.
You will become a
Blunt.
mood. Yeah, you will not, your mind will not think at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
see that complete delusion
Yeah.
arises. And from
Yeah.
delusion, what happens? Bewilderment of memory.
Hmm.
You may be a great person, you may be a great personality, but what happened? You are completely deluded. We see in the Epsi case, we saw how many great personalities, they are all great, great CEOs and everything. They all became prey to the lust, right? They forgot their position. In their position, can anybody do that? Even
Hmm.
Indra forgot his position. Even Brahma forgot his position. And even Shiva performed his position. He forgot his position. What about us? We stand nowhere towards in comparison to such great personalities, right? So memory is bewildered. When memory is bewildered, what happens? Intelligence is completely lost.
Gone.
Because this is
Yeah.
Krishna conscious is also called as Buddhi Yoga. It is performed with intelligence. When the Buddhi itself is gone, then where will the yoga happen?
Hmm.
Intelligence is lost, one fall again into the material pool and then easily fall on the material, then the living entity. Okay. So who is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord can very easily fall into the material pool. There is no way for a living entity to go back home, back to Godhead if he is not Krishna consciousness. If he is not engaging his senses in service of Krishna, then this fall down is very easy. Can we see that 8-step fall down, Mataji?
Yeah.
Starting with senses. When we are contemplating, when we are coming in contact with the senses and when we contemplate, then it can lead up to loss of intelligence and falling into the material fold.
Yeah.
So
Food.
we should be very careful. We cannot take senses very lightly, right? Like a fire, it may be very small. Whenever there is a fire in a building, does it start big or does it small? That is very small. It may just start very
It's
small.
big.
Forest
Yeah.
fire,
Yeah.
just
Star.
there is some friction because of which a little fire starts and that can go
It
so
develops.
much
Big. Yeah.
devastating. So everything may start very small. We may ignore it thinking that, okay, what is this? It's just after all the senses. So what after all, just I'm eating one samosa or one chaat, which is not offered. So what will happen, right? That's what our mind thinks. Like a small, we may, although senses are inferior to the mind and mind is inferior to the intelligence, but still the senses can kidnap the mind as well as the ruin the intelligence. Like a small child, whenever a small child is there in the home, the child is not powerful at all. The child cannot do anything. But you see, whenever there is a small child, that small child can keep every person living in this house under his control.
Yeah.
When the child cries and when the child is not sleeping,
Everyone's attention
nobody
is
in
on.
this house will be able to sleep.
Yeah.
You would see that everybody's routine will be disturbed when there is a small, although the child is powerless, the child does not have any power to do. But in spite of that, the child can control everybody. So although the senses are, inferior to mind also, but when we are giving importance to the senses, that senses can go up to the stage of bewildering our intelligence. Correct?
Hmm.
So, Yukta Vairagya versus Falgu Vairagya.
Sri Rupa Goswami has given us this direction. Prapanchit kataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumurkshubhir shubhi pariyago vairagyam pagno kataye.
Falgu Katye.
From Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. By development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. Their so called renunciation is called palgu or less important.
See, what does a devotee does? He does everything, all the material object he uses in serving Krishna. Like we are also using phones, we are also using laptops, we are also using iPad. We did not reject, okay, this phone, this iPad, this is very addictive. This is the I won't touch. But we use it. But for what? In hearing about Krishna. We are utilizing in Krishna's service.
Association with the
So some
devotee.
of the Maharaj, they have a very nice studios where they take a nice, classes. They take the studio and they post it in the YouTube. But that is for what? They're utilizing this technology for what? To broadcast the Krishna's
Yeah,
message. That is called Yukta Vairagya. Prabhupada, when people were giving him donation, he did not reject. He did not say, money is Maya. When I get money, he utilized it for Krishna's
good
service.
cause. Yeah,
So because of that, because we need Lakshmi also to
yeah.
propagate Krishna consciousness, to give prasadam, to distribute books, to have a temple, to do the seva. So he did not reject it, whereas he utilized it for Krishna's service. So similarly, there's no need for us to reject anything. But do it. If you have a desire to eat sweet, nobody said don't eat. Prepare it, offer it, and take it as a
And then
prasad.
eat.
Nobody says don't eat this. Eat, but give it, offer it, and then eat. That is called Yukta Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya means just saying, okay, I won't eat, I won't eat, I won't eat. You may be not eating for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, but the more you keep on seeing, then you will think, how long will the people live? Let me just live whatever time I want. Let me just eat it. Right? We see some old people, they do that now. Even though they have diabetes and they are not supposed to eat, they think it's okay. I do not know how long I
Yeah,
am going to live. Let
let
me
me eat
just
it.
eat a little. Right? That will happen.
Yeah. The
Yes, sir.
power of Krishna consciousness. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness.
It's about the
Yeah,
consciousness.
yeah.
Everything that a Krishna conscious person does is in service of the Lord. Okay, we are going to job, we are earning, but you are using our earning in satisfying Krishna's senses, in propagating Krishna consciousness. By doing so, our work also becomes a worship because you're utilizing the Lakshmi that you got for Krishna, right?
Impersonalizes and Krishna
Sorry,
conscious.
in personalist, there is
In,
a Mr. and Krishna
acha,
conscious person.
an impersonalist and Krishna conscious person. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the absolute being impersonal cannot eat, whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables. A devotee knows that Krishna is a supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So, after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants, called prasadam. Thus, everything becomes spiritualized, and there is no danger or of a downfall.
So when you're
Yeah,
trying to avoid the eatables, you may avoid for certain
for
period, but
some
it may
time,
be
and then you come
difficult
back.
for you to
Yeah,
remind that way. But a devotee knows Krishna is a supreme enjoyer. If you want
yeah.
to make something, Krishna will also
Offer it.
enjoy the gulab
Mm,
jamun. So make it, offer it to him. And he says that Yome Bhaktya Prayachati, one who is
mm.
offering me with devotion, I will accept. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, he's talking us through Bhagavad Gita. So whenever we read Bhagavad Gita, we should remember that who is speaking? Krishna is speaking.
Krishna himself, Bhagavan. Mm.
Yeah. The drawback of impersonalism.
The drawback of impersonalism. The devotee The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotee rejects it as material. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason, a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of the material existence. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service.
So there is a very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says that an impersonal is even attaining that stage because of lack of activity. Negation is not possible. So he again falls down. They come back as philanthropists and everything because they want to serve. You can't be without service. Either you serve Krishna or you serve Maya. Even though we may like very peaceful atmosphere, if everybody is leaving us in home for 1 or 2 days, we may feel good. But can you be just alone throughout your life?
No.
Even though we like peace. So you're getting a place in Brahma Jyoti, which is very peaceful. But because of the lack of activity, what happens? Then the Atma again falls because the Atma needs some activity, right? Whereas a devotee, he by accepting prasadam, he is not denying food, but the same thing he is eating by offering it to Krishna, and by taking as prasadam, he is protected. He is not falling down. Okay, take but offer it to Krishna and have it as a prasadam. Then our vishaya, the sense thing, will come down. Feel like eating. Okay, you want to eat gulab jamun. Nobody said don't eat, but while offering it, that becomes spiritualized. By not offering it, that becomes a material
Maya,
thing.
material.
You get more and more this thing. Okay, Mataji, was this sloka very nice?
Yes,
I
yes.
felt that this sloka is one of the very, very important sloka in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna has given us the anatomy of anger, right? How the anger comes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we do the Narsimha Arti quickly?
Yes, Mataji.
Sorry that I had to take some extra time because we were talking a little bit of the yatra. Is it C?
Yeah, Mataji.
Namaste
Namaste
Narasimhaya
Narasimhaya
Praladalaye
Hiranyakashi
Hiranyakashipurshaha
Purvakshah
Shilatam
Shilatam
Panakanaye Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha
Narasimha
Yato Yato
Yato
Yami
Yami Tato Narasimha
Bhage
Bhagi
Narsimha
Narasimha Hridaye
Hridaye
Narasimha
Narasimhamadin
Narasimhadim
Sharanam
Sharanam
Ade Tava Kara Kamalavare
Tavakarakamalavadina
Kamakuta Shringa
Kashinga
Dalita
Dalita
Hiranyakashipu
Hiranyakashipu
Tanu Bringa
Tanubringa
Keshavadutta
Keshavadhuta
Narahari
Narahari
Rupa
Rupa
Jai
Jai
Jagadisha
Jagadisha
Hare
Hare
Jaya
Jai
Jagadisha
Jagadisha Hare
Hare Jaya
Jaya
Jagadisha
Jagadisha
Hare
Hare
Jaya
Jaya
Narsimhadev Jaya
Narsimhadev Jaya
Narsimhadev
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 Narsimhadev Jaya
Jaya
Narsimhadev
Jaya
Jaya
Prahlad
Prahlad
Maharaj
Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Prahlad Maharaj Jaya
Jaya
Prahlad
Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Jaya
Jaya Jaya
Prabhupada
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 Jaya
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 Prabhupada
Jaya Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Jaya
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 Gurudev.
Gurudev
Jai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa
कल्पतरुपश्च
Sindhubheva
कृपसिन्धुभैश्च
Patitana
पतितानां
Pavanebhyo
पावनेभ्यो
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
Namaha.
नमः
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण